So today I'm going to be installing the rear flares, smittybilt rear flares on my Jeep TJ. I'm going to do the front barricade fenders probably this weekend, but I thought I would go ahead and try to tackle these fenders today really quickly. I don't think it's going to wind up being really quickly as these typically go, mainly because I do things difficult instead of the easy way, which would be to jack the Jeep up, take the wheel off, and really get up into the wheel well. I've decided to try to do it with the tire on the ground, which is possible. The first thing you have to do is remove this inner fender, which is just held in by little body snaps or little plastic rivets. You are not going to be able to salvage those, so if you plan on putting your inner fender back in, I would go to Home Depot or AutoZone or any place like that and get some of these little rivets to replace the ones that you're going to inevitably break trying to take them out. They're really made for one use anyway, so you know they're going to be destroyed when you get them out. Once you get that out of the way, it's pretty straightforward. You have bolts. We'll see if we can see a couple that hold your flare on. The first two, the one on the bottom here and the one on the bottom over here, are actually in the body. They're threaded into the body. All the other ones will have a little backer on them that will hold them on like this, which does make it a little more difficult to get them out. These are just 8mm nuts or bolts, and you'll have to get something back there to hold that. Probably just some pair of pliers is what I'm using. Once you get that inner fender out of the way, it's pretty simple. So I'm going to take the rest of the bolts out, get that fender flare off, and then test fit the fenders up there and start bolting them. The fenders do come with a bolt kit, you see here, and so those will be the bolts that we'll use to put the fenders back on with. All in all, it shouldn't take me long, but unless I run into something, which I typically do. So we'll see what happens. Alright, the flare is off, and as I said, I did run into complications. This last screw that was in the body actually has you can see there's a nut skirt that is pressed into the body, and that's what the screw goes into. Well, it started spinning in the body, in the hole. So the only thing I could do, I tried to hold it from the other side with pliers, with lock type pliers. Nothing happened. It just kept spinning. It was frozen to it, so I was able to pull it through the body. No damage to the body, except for that hole, and which will be covered up by the new flares anyway. So not a big deal. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and clean the body, and now I have a decision to make. Do I want to, after I install the fender, do I want to put the inner fender back in? I've debated just taking rubberized bed coating lining. I'm in the south, and there's not really any rust issues here. But taking that rubberized bed liner coating, and just spray all inside up in there, and get a nice good coat in there. I have done that before with previous Jeeps, with the YJ I used to have, and with really good results. And it's pretty good, a pretty good product. The only problem with that is the inner fender does protect your light harness up in here. It does come back and protect that. If I was just to spray that, that would no longer be protected. But I really don't think that's going to be a big issue. That harness is wired up pretty well and taped up. So it's just a decision I'm going to have to make. I haven't made it yet. I'm going to get the fenders on first, because I can always pop that inner fender up there later, and then we'll figure it out. Alright, there it is mocked up. I haven't put the bolts in it yet, but do yourself a favor. If you're working by yourself like I typically do, buy you some cheap clamps. They're worth their weight in gold. It's like a third and a fourth hand. Here's the undercoating I was talking about, and the more I think about it, the more I am convincing myself to go ahead and do that. Like I said, it worked real well on a YJ I used to have. That inner fender, it protects the body against some splash up and stuff, but it also holds a lot of dirt and moisture on top of it too. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like I said, I'm in the south. There's not much rust down here, not any road salt. Heck, if we get half an inch of snow, we're all going crazy. So there's no road salt. So I think I'm just going to spray that with undercoating. But let me get it bolted up and we'll see. Alright, so minus the other bolts, I got 2 bolts in there holding it. Minus the other bolts, that's going to be more or less what the finished product looks like. I'm going to wait until I wash the Jeep to spray it with the undercoating. It definitely gives it a different look. And I definitely think I like it. I think it's going to look real good with the flat fenders on the front to open up those wheel wells. My plan was to go to 35s. I don't know, it looks pretty good with 33s. I do have a Ford 8.8 on the way with 488 gears, and I've already got a front with 488 gears. So if I do go to 488s, the 35s are going to have to go on, because 488s for these 33s would be impossible at highway speeds. And I do drive this Jeep all the time, so I probably will go to 35s, probably another 1.5 inches of lift. I do have a slip yoke eliminator for it. I do have some long arms for the front and short arms for the back. All that's going to be going on in the next month or so, a couple months. My plan for this Jeep, some people have asked, my plan for this Jeep is to make it to where I can drive it to the trail, drive it back. I don't do anything extreme, but I do like to have fun. I do like to do some challenging obstacles, so that'll be the goal. I do have some chromoly axle shafts coming for the front, and the 8.8 will be more than strong enough for the rear. So I do like these fenders from Smittybilt. They're built pretty well. My only complaint is that Smittybilt sent screws that are like 85 inches long when they only needed to be about 1.5 inches, and it is taking a while to run these machine screws all the way up. They could have been a little bit shorter. One more thing, you do have to drill out the holes to 1/4 inch. Those holes are about 7/32, and it's just too small for the screws. But the holes line up, so you just have to run a 1/4 inch drill bit through them. Took 2 seconds. So all in all, it's going to be super easy. I'll get the other side done here in the next 20 minutes and be waiting on the front. The front will be a lot more involved, and I'll make a video of that as well.